Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. If I could just have everybody grab a seat, we'll get the meeting started. Welcome to our regular meeting of council. There is a donation jar at the back for our capital program in 2024. It's just, I'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. All members of council are present.
Awesome. Takes us to item 4, review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Seeing none, I have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that council approves the agenda as printed. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Graydon. Seconded by Councillor Whalen. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature?
Yes, I have noted here that Councillor Melanie Ducharme has disclosed an indirect conflict declaration of interest on communications item 10D and new business item 14C, both regarding the proclamation request from the Pavilion Women's Centre for the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, as she is employed by the Pavilion Women's Centre as the Executive Director.
Thank you. Is there any others? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 7. Public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, and other statutes, and we have none tonight. Item 8, review and adoption of the council minutes. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of council held on October the 17th, 2023. B, the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November the 7th, 2023. And C, the special council meeting held on October the 27th, 2023 and November the 13th, 2023. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Brings us to item 9, presentations and delegations, and 9A at this time, the Temiskaming Health Unit, Lorna Desmarais, and public health as a public health promoter, and Jesse Foley, our councillor, and he's vice chair of the Board of Health. Do you want to?
The glare on my head is too much, so we know.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me okay? Is that okay? My name is Lorna Desmarais. I'm a public health promoter at the Temiskaming Health Unit, and I wanted to thank Councillor Foley for joining me today to share a short presentation on local public health, municipalities, and the opportunity to work together towards healthy and vibrant communities. So we hope the presentation is informative and useful orientation to public health for both new and returning council members. So our goal today is to increase your understanding of the role of public health and to explore how the Temiskaming Health Unit and local municipalities can collaborate to make strong and healthy communities. We'll talk about what makes a community healthy, our role along with how we can work together, and the benefits of collaboration. And then we'll share some examples of collaboration between Temiskaming Health Unit and local municipalities, as well as some resources that are available. So what makes a healthy community? Our health is influenced by many factors, including the environments where we live, work, play, and learn. So residents, municipal leaders, organizations, and businesses must work together to improve these environments, which will lead to a healthy community for all. So healthy communities have 3 main parts: the built environment, which refers to any human-made surroundings, including things like buildings, structures, landscaping, roads, trails, and parks. and our health is affected by the decisions made on things like land use and transportation. The natural environment encompasses things naturally occurring on Earth, including the air we breathe and the water we drink. And the social environment includes all other pieces of our environment, which are not built or natural. So things like the economy, income, employment, poverty, community involvement, housing, leisure, recreation, social networks, arts, and culture. And when we combine all of those environments together and they're balanced, then we live to our full potential. So there are 34 public health units in Ontario. 5 are in northeastern Ontario, including the Temiskaming Health Unit. Public health promotes and protects the health of people in the communities where they live. So while a doctor treats people who are sick or injured, those working in public health try to prevent people from getting sick or injured in the first place. There are 5 main pillars focused in public health: health promotion, disease prevention, health protection, population health assessment and surveillance, and emergency management. So public health is often most well known for its work around health protection, so things like safe food and water, and infectious disease prevention, even more so due to the COVID pandemic. But it's important to understand that the work of public health is much broader as it relates to community health. So the Temiskaming Health Unit has 3 main offices: New Liskeard, Kirkland, and Englehart, and employs 70 staff. The health unit's goals and objectives are in line with the Ontario Public Health Standards published by the Ministry of Health, and include specific protocols and guidelines that define requirements for our programs and services. However, locally, we make use of local data and trends and engage with many different partners to tailor our public health programming. The Temiskaming Health Unit is led by an acting medical officer of health, who is in turn accountable to a local board of health. Our board of health consists of 14 members appointed by councils of local municipalities in the district, as well as public appointees. The board of health is ultimately responsible for delivering programs and services within the Temiskaming district, which does include Temiskaming. And core funding for these programs is shared between municipalities and the province. And we often will leverage these funds to access additional funding for specific initiatives within the district. We provide programs and services that contribute to the physical and mental well-being of the population level versus the individual level. We work with agencies, healthcare providers, and a cross-section of partners to address social conditions so that everyone has an equal opportunity to be healthy. So what actually determines health? Many people think their health is a result of the choices that they make, including choosing to eat more fruits and vegetables, being active, and not smoking, while others believe that seeking a health professional promptly for medical care is what is needed to make them healthy. But we know that health is affected by much more than that. It's a result of everything we do, where we live, learn, work, and play, and these conditions are called determinants of health. So on the screen we can see a list of determinants of health as outlined by the Canadian Public Health Agency, which include a variety of things. So it's important to keep all these factors in mind when we're considering what makes a person and ultimately what makes a community healthy.
Thank you, Laura. So the municipal governments are partners in community health, and we play a major role in delivery of public health services as both a funding and governance partner. Given the significant contributions of municipalities as partners in funding, governance, and service delivery, it is imperative that municipal staff and council are involved in community health decisions and in planning and on how best to deliver services that meet the needs of our local community. The Partners for Healthy Ontario report via the Association of Municipalities Ontario outlines the current municipal role in health and provides recommendations aimed at modernizing the provincial-municipal working relationship. As a frontline order of government closest to the people, municipal governments are deeply invested in Ontario's health system and understand the health and needs of local communities. Municipalities and public health have a lot in common. We both want to invest in the health of our population. Municipalities have the advantage of local knowledge and networks. Since the municipal government operates most closely with its people, local information can be used to guide health policies and services. Municipalities are also connected to the community through collaborations with community members and partners. In addition, municipalities have a key role in deciding the policies, practices, and services available to the community, ultimately impacting the community's well-being. Municipal services such as local government, public services, parks, recreation, community design, libraries, social housing, waste management, childcare, and emergency services such as police and fire protection all affect population health. In fact, 80% of municipal spending in Ontario contributes in some way to the social detriments of health. ALPHA, the Association of Local Public Health Agencies, has info on their website specifically for board health members to facilitate the sharing of and access to orientation materials, best practices, bylaws, resolutions, and resources to support their work. If you're new to the Board of Health or considering joining the Board of Health at some point, please have a look at ALPHA's board orientation manual and other useful tools linked to their site. There is also info on general board and health, including municipal role of public health, and info on governance and legal matters and liability. Board of Health representatives act as liaisons between municipal councillors and public health. And please feel free to share ideas or concerns with your Board of Health representatives, ask questions, and review your information, share the minutes and updates to stay engaged.
So I'm just going to share some examples and some images of some of the many ways that municipalities in Temiskaming are already promoting health and equity within our district. So the City of Temiskaming Shores public transit system, local travel options including our mini trail systems, local arenas, walking tracks, public libraries, recreation centers, fitness facilities, playgrounds, and splash parks are all great examples of ways that great work that local municipalities are doing. So there are many ways in which municipalities and public health can collaborate. Sharing of human resources. So at the health unit, we have staff that can provide data and evidence briefs, examples of policies and programming that has been successful in other communities. We have strong partnerships in the community that can benefit both of our work. There's a lot of potential to work collaboratively on policies and plans that promote healthy communities and integrate the social determinants of health. And municipalities often support community groups that are leading initiatives that enhance community well-being, so things like extending municipal insurance, offering space, and sponsoring grant applications. In addition, we can share expertise on the strengths and challenges in the community to help with planning and provision of services. So municipalities can adapt public health interventions for the community. Collectively, we can raise awareness of issues that advocate for important policies, and we can collaborate to promote community safety and contribute to inclusivity, anti-racism, and health equity. So just some further examples of the great work that has happened when public health and local municipalities work together. There's lots of examples around active travel, so things like the bike exchange, Nordic pole walking, and snowshoe use, age-friendly community planning and work, Healthy Kids Community Challenge, Smoke-Free Ontario Act, promotion and enforcement. World water advisories, drinking water systems, creating walkability maps, healthy snack options at arena canteens, road safety partnerships, including the introduction of Sharrows in the City of Temiskaming Shores, well water testing, older adult exercise programs, a community fridge to help address food insecurity, development and review of municipal alcohol policies, emergency preparedness, and so much more. Temiskaming Health Unit would like to commend the City of Temiskaming Shores on your collaboration on many important topics, and specifically your participation in the Temiskaming Drug and Alcohol Strategy and related initiatives, active school travel, Road Safety Coalition, and Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. And not too long ago, the municipality had indicated an interest in harmonizing posted speed limits. The Temiskaming Health Unit has collaborated with the Road Safety Coalition to create a resource that can help with this work, and staff are available to provide support if this is something that you're still interested in addressing.
Why should municipalities collaborate with public health? What's in it for us? What's the return on investment? As you can see, the Temiskaming Health Unit has many goals with municipalities. Collaboration means reduce duplication, as we're often tasked with doing similar work for the community. Strengthen capacity. The Temiskaming Health Unit has highly skilled staff that can provide expertise at no charge. No need for extra money on consultants. There are local epidemiologists who can provide data and rationale for funding applications, as well as research policy planning analysts who are skilled in research and evidence and have access to the best practices proven to work in other communities. When municipalities and health units collaborate, there is an opportunity to achieve more through pooling of expertise, materials, and financial resources. Effective public health interventions means less funding is needed for healthcare systems, so more funding can be diverted back to municipality. Together, municipalities and public health can provide knowledge, capacity, and support to bolster the validity and effectiveness of interventions and lead to more innovative programs, services, and policies. The Temiskaming Health Unit has quantified return on investment for various topics. This was from the last year's election in the fall of last year. They had covered topics including mental health, healthy built environment, climate change, food and income security, anti-racism, opioids, and oral health. And all this information can be found on the Temiskaming Health Unit's website under municipality headings.
So we would encourage you to check out the Board of Health section on the Temiskaming Health Unit website if you haven't already. You can learn about local public health matters at work, review board reports, presentations, and briefing notes. We also have a webpage, a section of our webpage that's specific for municipalities, where we compile relevant resources, information, and ways to collaborate. And if you haven't already, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the Temiskaming Health Unit's quarterly e-newsletter, which is written specifically for municipal staff and council and includes timely information about funding opportunities, community health, and opportunities to collaborate. So that is the end of our presentation, and we'd be happy to take any questions, or if you have any.
Awesome. Thanks, Lorna. Thanks, Jesse, for your presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Lorna or Jesse? Okay. Thanks, and looking forward to continued collaboration with the health unit. Thanks. At this time, I'll call upon Bill Ramsey on behalf of Friends of the Waterfront, read the expression of interest regarding the possible sale of the Noaskirk Marina property. Bill?
How do I make it go down? I'm not, you giants were too big for me. I couldn't, my bifocals don't read properly. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Bill Ramsey. I am here on behalf of the Friends of the Waterfront, who are a group of people in Temiskaming Shores who would like to retain as much of our waterfront in the public domain as possible. So I'm going to speak about the expressions of interest. I think everybody knows my involvement with the city. I've been very active in motorized activities. My father, of course, was very much a champion of the waterfront. So it's been in the family for years. But it's not me that's here. I'm here on behalf of the whole group, Friends of the Waterfront. I didn't actually even write my speech. One of the friends wrote it, so let's see where it goes. Okay. We were disappointed when the city launched a public consultation process asking for input on a potential expression of interest for the purchase of the property, where the only question was about how the property could be developed or used, not should it be developed or used. It is obvious, however, from reading the comments that were contained in the report to Council on September 5th, that the citizens of the city were not to be denied commenting on whether the property should be sold at all. You've all read the comments. I know that some of you have told me you spent hours and hours going over them, so I know that they've been read. And many people were opposed to the sale. So why are Friends of the Waterfront opposed to the sale of the property? Well, there's several reasons. First and foremost, it is a waterfront property, which is not like any other type of property in the city or any other city with accessible and desirable waterfront. Just, it's not in my notes, but I was reading last week on something from Google that the city of Mississauga, Burlington is spending $60 million to buy back a piece of its waterfront. And $60 million was the estimate. It may be more by the time they're done. So, you know, other municipalities are fighting to get their waterfront back. So they're special. Waterfront properties are special because it's a valued amenity. In fact, the waterfront is probably the most important amenity that we have in Temiskaming Shores. One only has to look at the comments from the public consultation or talk to anyone walking along the waterfront, along the boardwalk, driving around looking at the waterfront. But I don't have to tell you this. You already know that the waterfront is an important asset. And this property is right at the mouth of the Wabi River, which was where Temiskaming Shores, Duliskard, was originally settled. People are worried that I've spoken to. They're worried that if the marina property is sold and developed by the private sector, the ability to experience the waterfront at this property will be gone, and that it will also have a major negative effect on the boardwalk. Second, the loss of this property presents an issue for a number of our short-term users, such as Fall Fair, Village Noel, fishing tournaments, numerous equine activities. These events are not directly on the property, but they certainly use it for parking, overflow, and just general space during the events. In addition, in the short term, the loss of this property brings into question feasibility of hosting events on our waterfront. The Bikers Reunion, of course, in its day took huge advantage of that property. I don't know if they're going to this time because they're going to be on a different site, but they may well have camping there because the other site's not big enough. The loss of the property would result in a lost opportunity, an opportunity to improve the recreational and leisure activities in the area. Your September 5th report was bursting with creative ideas. They included amphitheaters, bandshell, indoor, outdoor event venue, facilities for the marina such as a bait and tackle shop, outdoor fitness circuit, swings, community gardens, outdoor classrooms, and just passive recreation as it is now with a few picnic tables, possibly a washroom. And there are many people who would like to see it stay the way it is, which is essentially waterfront parkland. Council is reminded that the majority of these ideas are in keeping with its recreation designation in the city's official plan. I can't even remember who it was. It was Ira Murphy. Not many of you will remember Ira, but Ira's daughter brought me in some 1960s planning, and it showed that as recreational use, possibly a bandshell, so it's not a new idea. Finally, the Friends of the Waterfront are opposed to the sale of this property because it appears to provide a short-term response to a small financial challenge, ignoring any long-term planning. Perhaps in 10, 20, 30 years down the road, this property, together with other underutilized properties, and underutilized is not my term, it's used in the ad for the marina property. So other underutilized properties in the area could provide an opportunity for something really important to be built in the city, such as a conference center with parkland at the waterfront. The sale of this property would be very likely the death knell, love that term, for developing any of the creative ideas the public consultation process came up with. In addition to these ideas, we would suggest that council needs to ask what the best use of this property is, just not now, but in the 20, 30, and 40-year plan. Selling the property would take that decision out of the hands of future councils. We feel it's important for council to know that the Friends of the Waterfront are not anti-development. We acknowledge that there are some comments from people wanting condos, and when I hear the term condos, I don't think we actually mean condos. I think they mean a row development such as along Far Drive. Condos are not a common thing in northeastern Ontario, but I understand what people mean. The Friends of the Waterfront are not opposed to this type of development and other types of multifamily development. In fact, it's clearly a type of development for which there is a need in Temiskaming Shores. But for all these reasons already talked about, this is not the right location for multifamily development. If the city wants to encourage multifamily developments, there are other ways to do it, better ways to do it than through an open-ended expression of interest. And this is let's look at our residential neighborhoods and possibly change the official plan, because I understand that process is coming up. Open up areas, take out some of the lower density uses if we want, and pick areas for higher density development. Higher density development would be condos, row housing, apartments, that kind of thing. I could speak to the benefits of this approach, but it's not why I'm here. I'm here to say don't sell the parkland. Okay? And next year when we redo the official plan, let's keep it parkland, but look at other areas for appropriate development. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your presentation, Bill. Does anybody have any questions for Bill? Okay. We'll go with Councillor Wilson first. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Bill, for your presentation. Excellent. And thanks for taking the time. I have certainly heard from a number of the members of your group, and I appreciate that feedback. And I think you know it's excellent to have this kind of feedback, and I really appreciate you coming out. You make some good suggestions around the official plan, for example, and you know I think your voice is being heard. So I want to just make that point, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor Ducharme.
So thank you again for coming out tonight, and to everybody who's here from the Friends of the Waterfront Group. I did spend a long time reading through the 600 plus comments that you submitted this summer, so thank you. There was a lot of ideas in there, and I'm wondering what the process would look like for you or your group in terms of bringing some of those ideas kind of into the expression of interest or into the process outside of the development.
Right, we've discussed that, and right now we're not sure we have the expertise to help. We have one planner who you've met. Barry spoke a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, and Barry, of course, has great ideas. We would want to do more input from the community. And I believe as we redo the official plan, we're going to likely engage a planning company that will be able to look at some ideas. One of the problems with that area is plan after plan talks about doing positive things with it, many things that Friends would be in favor of, and it never happens. Because we need a new compressor at the arena, buns, heater breaks, that kind of stuff, and we don't get there. And that's kind of why I laughed when I heard the term, it's being underutilized, and sure it is, but it's because we haven't got there yet. So we would be more than happy to work with the city to sort of look at ideas going forward. I'm actually very excited to hear what Mr. Ryan and the Rivards have to say tonight. I don't know much other than what's in the speaker about their plans, so maybe I'm behind them, but I don't think so, because I think both of them would require us to sell the land, but I still want to hear what they have to say, and there might be other spots. And one of the things we did do was sit down as a group and look at spots where properties could be developed and should be developed, and that's something that I'm sure the city has done to a certain degree, but that's something that other cities do, is they say, hey, this area needs to be done before anything else happens. So that's something we would really promote. Thanks, Melanie, for the question.
Any other? Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, thanks for your comments, Bill. We had a gentleman here before that seemed to echo those same sentiments, and we told them they'd be taken into consideration. What I do want to say, though, is there's only 3 of us from the last council, and we made the mistake when we got into the dog pound issue of not going to the public. And we were severely criticized for that.
Right.
I don't really agree with the fact that you're disappointed that in this process we've gone out to the public. I think the best thing we can do, you're a lawyer, you know we have to hear from both sides of the table. I think going out for public input is a great thing. I don't think it's the wrong step. I had some of your members phone me at home, and I said, if your vision is for an amphitheater, put that in writing for us. Those are the thoughts we need. So this is just a start of a very long process. So I appreciate your comments, but we need public input. That's why we've gone out.
And I think you're getting it, Councillor Whalen, which is good. Like I'm really happy with the input that's coming in that I'm hearing and seeing, because we didn't know, and my disappointment I think was that it was to be sold not that we're looking for input, because looking for input, I agree with you.
Yeah, but see, that's one of the misconceptions, is many of your members understood the property was already sold.
I've
So
heard that
we
rumor.
got to
I've
clear
heard
a
that
lot
rumor
of
too,
that
and
up,
didn't
and
believe it
hopefully
either.
these public meetings can do that. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you showing up.
Thank you, Danny.
Thanks. Any other questions? Thanks, Bill. This takes us to item C, and the Rivard Brothers Limited, Jeff St. Cyr, Dan Taché, the president of Taché Construction, and it's really the development proposal in response to the expression of interest. So who's going to come up and speak? Do you want us to lower that, Jeff?
There's a button under there.
Technology.
Do you want to let me know which, do you want me to pull up the sketch that you had sent in for Logan? Up on screen?
Maybe if we could wait. No, we'll just go through our presentation. So my name is Jeff St. Cyr. I'm here with Dan Taché and Sylvain Rivard from Rivard Brothers. Thank you very much, Your Worship and councillors, for giving us the opportunity to share ideas about the City of Temiskaming Shores waterfront expansion. Developing a waterfront of the Nilisquard Marina area would be extremely beneficial for our municipality in many ways. It will generate tax revenue of approximately $250,000 a year. It will beautify the area. It will provide services to boaters at the marina, contributing to both economic and aesthetic improvements. The influx of around 500,000 immigrants to Canada over the next 3 years reflects the country's commitment to diverse and inclusive immigration policies, which will contribute to social and economic growth. The aging demographics signal a demand for low-maintenance housing, creating opportunities for younger families to enter the market seeking convenient and efficient living spaces. Our local group is energetic and optimistic about the opportunities within this community. Collaborative efforts will make a significant impact on our community development. As part of our presentation, we have incorporated images from various communities that have developed their waterfronts, showcasing diverse approaches and designs in waterfront development. Each photo tells a unique story of how different places have harnessed the potential of their waterfront areas, providing inspiration and insights for our own project. I think maybe at this time, if we could put the pictures up. I need my glass.
Like these ones?
Sure. Sure. So what we're trying to do is, and what Bill was talking to is, hopefully having an open mind in regards to the project and what can be done here to improve the area and make the best use of it while also bringing in revenues for the region and for our community. And if we're able to harness that and build a project or build something that's going to be useful for everyone, if you take just the tax dollars that a project like this can bring in, you can build whatever kind of parks and places you want for kids and tourism areas, because you're going to have that there to do that for you. So we just wanted to put up a few, and these are, dramatic. You've got some big areas, big projects that are on waterfront. We're not saying that, we want to see something that large being built. That's not the purpose. It's just saying that there is an opportunity, and every community throughout Ontario that have these spaces, as you can see all these pictures here with the marinas, they're including all of these in here. And we do know, and I can just say just from my family, for example, if, there's lots and lots of people in this community that are living in homes that are not yet ready to move on, but would like their independent place, with not cutting grass, with everything else that goes along with it. But it's pretty fantastic if you can wake up in the morning in your apartment, go right out on your deck and overlook Lake Temiskaming. You know, those people leave those homes, and now those homes are now being freed open for other younger families that are coming into the community. Right now, I know there's a gentleman in this community that has has a project almost built here in town, and he has a lineup from here to Englehart of people trying to get in because there is not enough. It's just the way it is. So people are looking for these opportunities. What we're trying to do is seize the opportunity where we can build something, make it beautiful, have people want to come into the area and see it, or live there and take part of it as well. So instead of people having to move away, they can move to a location which is going to be closer to their families as well. So those are a few. Do you guys have any other comments on any of the pictures? So the next, and then if you guys want to talk about this too, guys, just feel free. So there have been some sketches that have been put together just as ideas of what a project like this could look at. So one thing is for sure is the walking trail belongs to the city. So all of that property has to be protected, number one. The project that we're suggesting does not say that that land has to be owned by that group. It is, the walking area is the city's property. The marina is the city's property. So what this is simply, it integrates merging together a piece of land that is stuck in the corner of our waterfront, which is, I never driven it before, but we have like 1.7 kilometers of waterfront. So it is a big, big area, and we've included drone pictures for your homework if you're really tired after this meeting and want to look at this stuff. But we've done drone photos where you go down every road in town to see what your view is through the water. So excluding it, even with this property here, at 90% of the roads that you come into the beachfront, you're not going to even see this building or these buildings in this area at all. If you're in the parking lot in the CJTT building and you're sitting there having a sandwich at lunch and you're overlooking the lake, you're not going to see this building. You still have a view overlooking the bay. So the area that has been taking up the view is minimal. On a 1.7 kilometer lakefront, it is a very small area. And what we're trying to do with this as well is, with a project like this, is integrate how we can do things for people that are using the marina. I know a couple years ago there was a request from the marina members to help restore the blue building that's there, so that they could integrate, shower, washing machines, stuff like that. So if people are coming down the lake, they can stay in the marina, then they can go and use these things so that they don't have to try and find a place in town. Well, we would expect or we'd hope to integrate all of that for these people at the same time. So you have a building that can help all of the boaters. You have a building where you have a separate area where you could have kayaking rentals and all of these types of things. Like if you go to Ville Marie, like their marina is unbelievable. You walk in there and it's like the red carpet rollout for you. Let's go. What can we get you? Like, it's amazing. So, they have taken this opportunity and are doing things with their waterfront as well. And theirs is very small compared to the 1.7 kilometers that we have. So these are the projects. Now, just so that people don't panic, there's a building that is not part of the proposal. I think, like when Shelley set all this up, that land, we acknowledge right there that land is not for this development. So we want to make sure, just for fun, we just wanted to put something in there to show that if ever an opportunity came up, if ever the things ever got shifted around, that would be, an amazing place back again from the water, putting up, say, for example, a hotel, or it could be condos, whatever. But again, you're bringing these buildings in. You still have an amazing amount of waterfront space, integrating the marina, and then all the other things that can go with it in the summertime. Okay. Anything you want to add on the pictures, guys? Sean? So again, this is just an idea which could change. We just think that it's a great place and it's a great opportunity to help develop our community into the future. There's also, we put a drone shot just to show, just to give you a clear idea of really how big the waterfront is. I'm not sure what number it is. So this is one, and then there's the other one as well. But it's more over to the middle of the yeah, there's an, I apologize, I don't know the
Go to the different folders.
I thought it was just the two aerials. Okay, so this is just showing our community, and the far left corner is where you would see the development, the project. And then if this keeps going, is it dead? Okay. So as you can see, even in the parking lot, ladies and gentlemen, on the left side of that property, even if there are buildings there towards where the marina buildings are, someone sitting in that parking lot, they still see the whole bay. Like it is not taking up room there. And then as you go all the way along, it just shows you how much room we have here to do other things for waterfront. And we would see doing something with the blue building as well, which again will help the boaters. So again, the property in the far left corner, out of most of the visual, and then you have all the way down along the other side. It's now with $250,000 in tax dollars, I'm sure that there could be all kinds of things that are done to help beautify the waterfront in other ways. So that is a huge open area. And we just suggest doing something with a small piece. Anything to add, guys? Come on up.
How do we get this up? We're talking about the $250,000 in taxes possibly, but we're also not talking about the possible of spending $25 million in the community building these projects, right? So the spin-off of the money of construction, the stores, the local trades, hotels, restaurants, and everything else, I believe that any community would take on a project of $25 million any day, right? So the other thing is by building at the waterfront, if you're doing multi-use, residential, commercial, it's attracting people to the downtown. So now people coming in from Quebec, they don't only turn right at the lights, they turn left to head downtown. The only thing that could do is help all the businesses on the way to the waterfront, right? So that's something else to add on that. And we know in regards to apartments and residential in this area, we've been working on other projects in this area, and we know there's a huge demand. The affordable housing project that we had worked on, within a week, we had 200 names. So we know there's a demand for this also.
Thanks, Dan. Anybody have any questions for Jeff or Dan? Go ahead, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks very much, all of you, for the presentation. Very interesting. Pardon me with this question, but I'm actually really interested in soils, and I read the borehole report, and I'm just wondering if you have any concerns about that particular property. I know this is really early, so I apologize for this question this early, but I'm curious, any comments on concerns around soil for the proposed buildings that you have?
Yeah, anytime you do a geotech or a phase one, there's always something that comes up that you don't expect. I don't believe there's no property that you can't build on. But we also mentioned in there that we have another due diligence to do over a 12-month period to see what else we could do, because there's a phase 2 that needs to be looked at. I believe the geotech that's been done needs further investigation, because I believe on the whole parcel of 5 acres, I think there's 2, maybe 3 boreholes. So at that point, I would look at getting more investigation on the property at that point, and then you can make a decision whether it's piles or a different way of building things, but there's always a possibility. And that's when we analyze the cost of the project, and then if you know if it's worth it or not, right? So.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question. In your proposal, you use the terms enhancing green space and sustainable transport. And I'm just wondering if you could, I guess when I'm looking at your proposal, I realize this is a very preliminary proposal, I'm seeing a lot of asphalt. And I'm just wondering if you could discuss that, what you mean by enhancing green spaces and sustainable transport.
I'm just saying, for enhancing, it again is what a project like that can do, spread out across, where you take the revenues, even if you took, let's say the taxes in there, let's say it was $250,000, and you used $50,000 a year, and had the community involved in matching pieces of it, just like what was done with the splash pad. This community is amazing at raising money for the community. But so I'm just saying, if you took one small piece of that, and then you have a whole plan done for the waterfront, just a small piece of that tax base every year, within 10 years from now, it would look completely different. And we're not saying completely different by putting up other buildings and stuff like that. It's just enhancing the use of the waterfront.
Okay, thanks very much.
Anybody else have any questions? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Jeff. We sit here meeting after meeting, and we're going to have a budget coming up pretty soon, and every time we order a fire truck, it's gone up $40,000, $50,000. Every time we order a plow, it's gone up $30,000, $40,000. And yet we're mandated that we must provide fire service, we must provide ambulance service, and those are good services for the community. But we're also responsible for the social and recreational well-being of the municipality. So it brings me back to the marina. You mentioned that that's the municipality's part of the project. So do you see this down the road? And yeah, Mark's right, we're very early in the process. But do you see the marina as becoming part of the project, or is that standalone for the municipality? Because that's actually what started this discussion going.
Yeah, so what we are hoping to be able to do with the project is integrate. So where the blue building is right now is that, maybe have some type of agreement where the city helps us get rid of it, and then we build, on our project, we build a facility for the boaters, so that the city does not have to pay for that. Because I know when the last time the boaters were here, they were asking if the city could help contribute to build something. Well, as far as we're concerned, we would make that part of the project. So there would not be a cost to the city to have those accommodations. We could get feedback from the boaters as to what they're looking for, and then integrate that along with the project. So not only are you bringing in the tax revenue, but we're beautifying the blue building into something that the boaters could use. where you can have the kayak rentals, these types of things. And that has been included in the design, as well as, and I forgot to mention too, is with these apartment complexes, the main floor would be, storefront stuff. So people that are walking along, if they want to get an ice cream, they're on the boardwalk trail, they want to get an ice cream, they could get an ice cream right there. There could be different shops all the way along the waterfront, which again, makes it fun when you're walking along the path, and if you want to go in to get a shop, or it gives you a reason to leave, to walk one end of it, stop, have a Starbucks coffee, whatever, and then walk back to the rest of the trail, whatever. But it's something that we believe is going to bring, people, even just people in the community out there more active, out there using it, but also people in the community, and also all the people that are stuck at home right now in their big houses that have 2 stories. They keep the washer and dryer upstairs so that they don't have to use the stairs. And this would open up to all of those people. So all those people get to use these apartments and then sell their houses. So I see Mr. Govro here, so he would probably be excited about that too. But this is a way of helping our elder community get into better housing, less maintenance, and then opening up our houses to the younger families.
Sorry, I get that, but the hot word right now is housing. But I prefer to see a housing public use project than just simply a housing project. That's why I asked that question, so thank you.
And we are open to communicating with the city. If there is something specific that you would like to see in the project, if it could be worked in with that, we're 100% in to have those communications.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Ducharme.
Is there an affordable housing or like a component or a percentage that you have planned in with the units that you're talking about here?
I'll be honest, we haven't talked about the low-cost housing component or, any of that. To be honest, we're just looking at what would it cost to build it, and, what is a fair price for rent in order to have this paid off within a number of years, right? So we're just trying to look at, we just see the need that these apartments are necessary. They're not going to be executive condos and all that stuff. You may have a couple or something on corners or whatever, but the main purpose of this is having a number of apartments with 1 or 2 bedrooms, basic, so that these people can, so that the people in our community have a place to move to that's going to be affordable.
Councillor Graydon.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Jeff. Quick question, and I know, again, this is far down the road. Do you see this as something that, a project where you would build it and also retain ownership and management of it going forward into the future?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we'd have to look at the amount of, other questions too is, do you build the 3 buildings all at once? Do you build it one at a time? All of those questions, we don't know the answer yet until we finally, once it's put out there, and then you find out that you've got enough people to build 2 or 3 at once, or if it's one, we don't know that. But the goal is to have the 3 buildings there, at least.
Okay, any last questions? Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
Jeff, Dan, and Sylvain. Takes us to item D, and at this time, Duff Ryan, project designer, project lead from Ryan Company Architect Inc., and that's really the development proposal in response to the expression of interest. Welcome.
Thank you. I want to thank Friends of the Waterfront and Jeff. Very, very nice presentations. A lot of very interesting points. I think I'm going to be taking a slightly different approach. This is too fancy for me. I think this is a good height right now. So I'm not used to all this high-tech stuff. I like the screen though. Could you bring up the, I want to show you a project that I did that's on a, not that one, on a similar site. with similar conditions in terms
Welcome
of
to
soil
the
and stuff. I'm
landing
going to
at
take a
Little
slightly
Lake,
different approach to these
Barrie's
folks have.
newest
I'm not
and
gonna talk
only
about
truly
money, I'm not gonna talk
waterfront
about all that kind of
condominium
stuff.
located
I think
on
the
the
most
shore
important
of
thing about
Little
this is
Lake.
design and approach.
Cottage-style living conveniently
So this
located near
project
shopping,
is a
restaurants,
condominium,
healthcare
seniors
services,
home
golf,
project
and more. Distinct
designed in
architecture,
Barrie.
rooftop
The component
patio,
on the right
beautifully
is a
designed
condominium. The
suites
piece
with
in the middle is a swimming
balconies,
pool. The
lake
component on the
views, and a
left
new city of
is
Barrie
a
Park
seniors
make the
home.
landing at Little Lake
It's on a
unlike
site
any other
similar
address.
to what we're dealing
Enjoy
with
fine
here in
dining,
New
a
Lister,
relaxing drink at our
in that
waterfront
it's
pub,
waterfront,
spa,
it's,
hair and nail salon services,
not filled,
indoor pool and
it's native
exercise
soil,
area, all
but the
in a
soils
natural
are
setting where you can
horrendous.
fish, go for a
So
paddle, or just
that
watch
is
the
a
sunset. The
hurdle
landing
that
at
is-
Little Lake. Condominiums from
I'm
the
speaking from direct,
mid-300s.
very
It's only
painful
natural.
experience.
You
It's
want to
very
live.
difficult to overcome. I'm not saying that it cannot be overcome, but it's painful, and as Jeff commented and his cohort commented,
Welcome to the
There needs to be
landing
much
at
more
Little
in-depth
Lake,
investigation
Barrie's
into the
newest
soils of
and
the site
only
before
truly
anything can be
waterfront
determined. So
condominium
everything that we're
located
kind
on
of
the
talking
shore
about
of
tonight,
Little Lake.
it's all
Cottage-style
sort
living
of with a
conveniently
caveat
located.
that whether this property can be developed or not, and whether it can be developed economically or not, is still kind of, it's out there. But I believe in it. I think it probably can. I think there's probably a way. We found a way here. The way we did it here is by soil improvement, not piles, horrendously expensive. So the basic program is excavate, pack, replace, and then you build on top of your new base. So the issue with this site really is like just by the 3 or 4 boreholes that we have, and is that it's fill, and you don't know what you're going to hit. So it's really a guessing game unless you do like boreholes. I equate them to kind of an X-ray of the soil. There's another test that you can do that's more like an MRI. It shows you everything. So every few meters, every centimeter, they drive a probe down, and they test the soil, and you can count water, bearing capacity, everything out of that test. And that's really what needs to be done here. So this project, I just want to show it just to demonstrate some level of experience and some level of knowledge in terms of developing
Welcome to the landing at Little
large-scale
Lake,
residential
Barrie's
projects,
newest and only truly waterfront condominium located on the
very
shore
difficult
of
site.
Little Lake. Cottage-style
can you
living
go
conveniently
to-
located near shopping.
I guess the site plan. We'll go to the first drawing. That's the video. The submission itself. If you don't mind. You got more files on your thing than I do. It's hard to find stuff, you know. It's everywhere. Yeah, so that's the verbiage.
Think it's in here, though?
No, that's the written submission, the concept brief. I'll get to most of those points as okay, this is cool.
Okay, let me zoom out.
Can you zoom out a little bit?
Sorry. I have no control of the...
She's really messing up my flow.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I just had a good thing going here, now it's all...
Is this the one?
Yeah, if you can zoom out a little bit, it's not the one I was looking for, but this will work. So this is a site plan. So essentially, if you understand the history of this site, yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
That's good. We'll deal with that. So if you understand the history of this site, when and how and what year it was, I have no idea, but they built the dam down in Southtown. The waterfront in New Lister used to go out, say, let's call it 100 feet from where it is now. So that was all that would have all been dry land, all well in front of this property. I actually found an old survey that my father did. He was a surveyor here, and he identified the 1908 waterfront line for New Liskard, which is way out here. So that whole property is filled. So when they filled it, they didn't know what they wanted to use it for. They just didn't want to lose the land, because when they were going to build the dam, of course, you know, water comes up, and then so they wanted to salvage that piece. So that entire site, as far as I can tell, is filled. So going back to the soils thing, that's a critical thing in order to test the soils to make sure that it can bear stuff. Talking to the geotechnical engineer, he thought that you would have to remove on average between 3 and 5 meters of soil off the entire site in order to be able to get enough bearing capacity to carry 2 stories. I'm not sure that it's correct, because there's so few boreholes, and the one borehole that's on the actual site is very close to the water. I suspect the soil is probably a little bit better as you get closer to the road. And the marina itself is not sinking, so I got a feeling that it's not so bad. But we need to do more investigation. And I think you need to look at it from a bigger picture point of view on not just how you develop this site, but how you develop the entire town. So how do you deal with the Fall Fair site? How do you deal with the connection to town? And I'll talk about those things a little bit later after I walk through this. So my approach to this was, my design thinking in this was this. I wanted to have a complex where from the road, from the complex, from the park, from the street, from the future housing, that everybody could enjoy the lake. And that it's buildings in a park as opposed to buildings sitting on a parking lot. So the parking would be partially underneath the 12 plexes that you see there, and partially surface. So that the parking, it gets spread around, and it's not, if you can imagine, this is my building, this is my parking lot. It's a sea of asphalt. But if I put my building here and I have some parking under here, I have a bit of parking here, a bit of park here, I got another little building here, I got another, it makes it more like, I say, buildings in a park as opposed to building in a parking lot. So that's the design approach, and of course this is very preliminary. I think that the views from the street to the lake, from that parking lot up there on the corner, by the way, is asinine. I don't know why there's a parking lot sitting right on the water, but anyways, we'll get to that later. I think, I'm sorry. Did I use the wordy dirt? So as you drive through, you can see the lake from everywhere. The residents get to see the lake. I've designed them as 12 plexes so that they're all corner units. That's, in a way, somewhat selfish, because I know that those units will sell better and they'll be more valuable. And the marina itself, I think, is a great opportunity to build. What I'm showing here is, I mean, the building is in quite rough shape. I'm not sure if it could be saved or if it should be torn down. But what I'm proposing here is a resort, not a hotel, but a resort. So that this would be a destination. In my mind, a hotel proper in a town, downtown like New Liskard, it just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. You need to have a destination so that people want to go there, so there's something to do. So this would be like a snowmobiling destination, fishing resort, a year-round destination, not just a marina. Because I worked most of my career in southern Ontario. I moved back to the north a couple years ago. New Liskard's my hometown, by the way. I was born and raised here. My father was an OLS. He was a surveyor in town. I've gone to this site, I would say, 20 times in the last 2 years at least. I've gone in winter, I've gone in summer, I've gone in spring and fall. It's a wasteland. It's a wind-swept wasteland. And the marina is, unfortunately, it has so much potential, but if you compare it to the Haileybury Marina, which is beautiful. I brought my boat in there, we go up, have lunch in town and so on. This thing has enormous potential, but it needs to be something, all of these things need to be, we live in a winter wonderland here, 8 months, 9 months of the year. All these things need to be used year-round, and it needs to be designed and developed in a way that it's usable year-round, not just a marina. So if it's a marina with a fishing resort, snowmobiling, side-by-sides, all that kind of stuff, that thing could be fantastic, and it will actually draw people, it will draw tourism. And I have an operator that I work with. We're developing another resort in Elk Lake, and they're quite interested in this project. And then, of course, the condominiums, I think they speak for themselves. Again, I don't want to speak to the financials on it because we know it's going to generate taxes, it's going to generate jobs, it's going to generate all those things. We know that as a matter of course. The important thing in my mind is the approach and the design, and taking a very careful approach and having community involvement from people like Friends of the Waterfront, the entire community, not just me or Rivard or whomever. You need to have community involvement so that you can generate more ideas, more involvement, and it'll become better in the end. So, so can you run through? There we go. So these are the images. I mean, again, this is a concept. This is out of my mind only, and without, you know, kind of working in a vacuum. But I think the approach is right. So you can see from these images that you can see right through the development. You don't have a block that is blocking the lake. You don't have any kind of a block. So from any point on the development, you can see through to the lake. All the units can have views of the lake. So if you look at the image on the top left, that would be, you know, the idea I was talking about of scattering the units across the site and having a very large component of the waterfront that would still be retained by the town in some form or other. What the structure is, I don't know yet. I haven't figured that one out. But and then this building in the middle here that you see here, you know, in the second to, so we've got the top left down, yeah, this little, you know, funky thing that I had a good time doing at, you know, midnight or whatever when I was getting really tired. It could be some kind of a waterfront community building that in wintertime it could house a covered outdoor arena, or in summertime it could be a practice soccer area. It would be a multi-use functioning building that's right on the waterfront as you walk through the path. So the thing about developing waterfronts is it's a very careful science, and so you want to have, it's all fine and good to have a 1.5 kilometer walkway. That's all great. You know, your bicycle and all that kind of stuff. But along the way you want to have, along that 1.5 kilometers, you want to have at least a half a dozen, maybe 10 places where you can stop, take a rest, and do something else. So you need to have these waypoints. So just to have a path that goes along the waterfront, you're looking at the lake and so on and so forth, that's great. But you want to have activities all the way along. And there are some of those things already in place on the boardwalk now. But the boardwalk is also, it's broken. So it's you know, you get to the beach, you get in front of 28 on the lake, then it breaks. And then you got to cross over through Melees and through into the marina, and then you can start again, and you get to the bridge, and it's broken again. So to make that continuous, I think, would be a very valuable thing. But along that path, you want to have stuff to do. Things that will draw people to the water, whatever those might be. And that's something that will come through with a very high level of community involvement in what the design should be. So you can see here, I'll just, that would be your approach as you're coming down the street. So on your right-hand side is the Fall Fairgrounds, right now, the bottom left picture. On your left-hand side, that would be the resort. So it would be, let's say, 30 rooms or so. The resort on the waterfront, there would be a little bit of commercial, but you're not going to make commercial go. It's just going to be mostly to serve people who are walking the waterfront, and also people who are staying at the resort. And then the larger buildings, if you go up to the top right image, those larger buildings would be like, if anybody's been to the Bannock, they have some larger, on Lake Temiskaming on the Quebec side, they have some larger chalets that you can sleep 8 or 10 people. So this is the idea with that component. And then if you go down, yeah, so I think I've pretty much covered the concept here. So a resort marina, year-round use, not vacant, not wind-swept, not wind-blown. In the wintertime, used year-round, so fishing, snowmobiling, side-by-side, and a resort, and I think it would be highly successful. My partners are very confident that it will be. And then the housing. Now, I think that, again, I may be repeating myself, but I think that in order to get here, this is a very good starting point, I think, just to open the discussion. That's all this is, quite frankly. This has come out of my brain, not everybody's. So I think to get here in the right way is that you really need to do a bigger picture kind of overall study of how downtown connects to this site. Like how do people get from downtown, how do they get to their homes, how do they get down to the marina? Right now, it's not nice. You go down a gravel road and you go through the Fall Fair site. And which, I don't want to offend anybody. Anybody here Fall Fair fans? I don't want to make anybody mad. Am I going to make you mad?
All of us are Fall Fair fans.
The Fall Fair is awesome. I love it. I was there every year when I was a kid. It's in the wrong location. It's not good. The Fall Fair site, it cuts the downtown off. It's a physical and an occupied barrier to the waterfront. It does not make sense. It's used 3 days a year, or whatever it is, maybe some other special events, but it just, I don't want to make anybody mad, it's got to go. It just has got to go, and it's a great opportunity to further develop the downtown and to make a stronger link to the waterfront on all fronts. I had to get it out, sorry. So I guess just in terms of, could you run the video through the site? I just want to see. If you don't, yeah, so this is okay, so we're coming in. This used to be the Fall Fair on your right-hand side, that gray block stop. So on the right-hand side, I see that as housing. I see that as a senior's home or some other development. I see additional housing that could potentially be low-cost housing. The problem with low-cost housing, what is it? Housing is not low-cost. It's not cheap to build housing. I have some other ideas. So we go down, you can see, we'll just run through here. So you can see, I think that things should be closer to the street. You shouldn't have a big parking lot that goes out to the building beyond the corner. You can see through to the lake everywhere. It needs trees. We need to plant trees to stop the wind. Then this would be the hotel resort on your left-hand side. The marina is rated directly in front of you. I don't like this parking lot right on the water, but it's there. I don't like that idea. Then the marina, we could potentially renovate the building. I'm not sure. We would buy the property from you if you're interested in selling it, or we can partner with you. Then these would be the larger units with the hotel-style units in behind. The little building in the middle would be a barbecue thing. That's my midnight kind of fiddling around pavilion building on the water. And then this path would continue, and I do like the idea, I know I've seen it thrown around, about building a pedestrian bridge across the lobby that would connect that path and connect it to a broader range of paths that go on the, call it the north side of the Wabi, and then down and around. I don't think you should do it as a standalone bridge. I think you're just going to blow your brains out in terms of cost. I would, if you ask me how to do it, I would say just attach it to the existing bridge. Just extend the existing bridge, make a pedestrian component on the existing bridge. Foundation is there, structure is there, easy peasy, and building a standalone bridge with the soil conditions here right on the edge of the water, it's going to be financial suicide. So that's it. You can cut that off. Or unless you guys want to watch it again? No? Okay. So that's it. I mean, that would be my approach to the project. So in terms of bigger picture stuff, I would look at the whole, not just this site, because I got to tell you, the danger of letting a developer or a standalone architect or anybody dictate how a design is going to be done. You isolate each individual site and you come up with a solution for that site without having a whole cohesive picture that ties everything together. So before starting any of this stuff, I would like to do a study that is a big picture on the entire town. And with relation to this site, specifically how it ties into the downtown, because I think that's very important. How this site, the marina, the fall fair, and all the rest of it, how it ties into the downtown, how it ties in with the rest of the waterfront, of the beach, of what we used to call the big beach, the ballparks, all that kind of stuff, and really how much open space do you need, and where should it be, and is this an appropriate site for residential development like this and or a resort site like this? I think it is, from a planning point of view. And I think that there's other pieces of the puzzle that need to come into play in order to make it work properly. And I think that the Fall Fairgrounds is one of them. So again, you don't want to deal with this site as an isolated parcel. You want to build it as a cohesive part of the entire fabric of the town. And because if you just build a bunch of houses there, or if you just throw a condo on there with a parking lot, you're not improving it. It's still going to be a windswept. Like, it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be nice. So you need to make, like one of my professors at School of Architecture when I was a student, his first question always was, I'd have, we as students would have all these big theories and stuff, and, very, just esoteric, just, out there architectural theories about our projects and stuff, and ultimately he'd be doing your critique and he'd say, okay, nice presentation. Is it nice? That's what it boils down to. Is it nice? So do you want to walk through there? Do you want to look at it? Will you enjoy the experience of walking through this site? Is it nice? It's the most important thing. So ultimately, it has to be made nice, and then you tie in all those other things with it. So the other thing, and I just want to speak about the affordable housing thing just for a bit. Construction costs now unfortunately make housing not affordable. So you need to find alternative solutions. So have I gone over 30 minutes?
You have.
Are you going to cut me off?
Very soon.
Okay. Sorry. I got one more thing to say. As I was looking at this, I stumbled upon a very interesting study that the town had done on your recreational facilities, which I thought was very interesting. You have 2 curling rinks, 2 hockey rinks, 2 golf courses for 10,000 people. The cities like, Timmins, North Bay, Sudbury, all those places. So that's one of those facilities for every 5,000 people. 10,000 divided by 2 is 5,000. Smaller cities like Timmins and so on will have one facility like that for 12,000 people, roughly, maybe 15,000. Toronto has one for 50,000 people. You're way heavy on facilities. A real easy, simple way to get affordable housing, convert either one or both of the curling rinks or arenas into housing. Done. Affordable housing in this town. Other places maybe it doesn't work. But I can imagine, like if you imagine an arena, it's a great big, wide, tall building, poke a hole on one end, poke a hole on the other end, you got a street going through the middle, and you put housing on either side of it. You already got a roof, foundation, everything else. No? Doesn't work?
Thanks. Thanks.
It doesn't work?
Thanks for your presentation.
So anyways, that's it. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Duff? Sure.
Yes, my name is Wayne Clark. I'm just here interested party for the boat owners. A couple of things, and this is something maybe the other party could comment on. Is there any thought about remedial work to the shoreline where those structures would supposedly go to make the water a little easier to get to? Right now, it's downright dangerous. I know it's there for structural purposes to break water. I'm not talking about the arm that goes out, but just around the edge of the shore.
No, I know what you mean. It's rocky.
Yeah.
And kind of steepish. So, how would you do that?
Exactly.
It's
pretty there, but we know it's not.
You could do it like I think that doing it all the way around might be prohibitively expensive, but you could have, again, some waypoints along the trail where you can go down to a dock, and I can imagine a way, I'm thinking of doing it at my own house, to cantilever docks out, so you could have sitting places or a spot where you could actually park your boat potentially. I personally, on this lake, I might not leave it there for more than 15 minutes, but I know in front of my own house I get waves that are this tall. So you could do it, I think, intermittently, here and there at a reasonable cost. But it's something that you could look at. Again, this is, as they say, a tabula rasa. It's a blank slate right now. And the possibilities here are endless. I think it's a brilliant site. I love the site. And I've been thinking about it ever since I moved back home. And I think that something really good can be done here. I hope that the soils don't become a killer. I hope. But I don't know. We have to do more soils tests. And I do think that all of those kind of discussions around, how the waterfront is used, how the marina is used, how this site is developed, how the fall fairgrounds are used going forward, all needs a very high level of community involvement and community input. And community assistance in terms of the design, I think it's very important. I know it takes longer. I can bang, designs out all day long. that are just coming out of my mind without any community involvement, but I think it needs, all those kind of things need community involvement. Again, and the bridge too, and all those sorts of things.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'm wondering, is there a formula between green space and building that seems to work out?
A formula between percentages?
Formula, percentage, yes.
Well, no, not really. I mean, it's a, I mean, you don't want to have 90% paved and 10% green, but there's not really like if you apply to, let's say, the downtown of Lillooet, there's almost no green space in the downtown of Lillooet. On the waterfront, there's all kinds of green space, and in a development like this, it's going to be somewhere in between. So it's a matter of, it really is a matter of design. You can have a space that has absolutely no green space, but be brilliant and beautiful and very comfortable to be in, and a space that's 100% green space, and also be the same.
Okay, so in this project in particular,
yes.
You as an architect, as a planner, do you have the vision yourself? Well, obviously, yes, you do.
Well, I've designed this, it's probably 50-50.
Okay, so there's a balance.
Yeah, or 40-60. 40 building, 60 green. I try to make, I don't like having big parking lots. I mean, I don't want to build a Canadian Tire store on the waterfront, very big paved parking lot with a building sitting in it. And it works with Canadian Tire up in the highway, it doesn't work here. You want to hide as much parking as possible, if you can. Or not have parking, be even better, but where we live, you got to have parking. I mean, they're building condos downtown Toronto that have no parking because you don't need it, because you're taking transit and all that kind of stuff. Here, you got to have parking, so you find devices and ways to disguise it. Probably not going to be able to go underground here because your car is going to be flowing. So you need to have it probably on the surface, but if you can hide it and build the buildings on podiums and have parking underneath the buildings, that's one solution. Once I know better what the soils are going to be, I'll come up with other solutions. That will work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody that came out tonight to do the presentations. I think you've answered a lot of questions, shared your views, and we really appreciate it. Also Friends of the Waterfront, again, thanks for sharing your thoughts. We'll take all of this into consideration as we move forward. And thanks again for coming out, taking
All right, thank you very much.
It.
Thanks. No other questions? You sure? No?
Okay, thanks. Moving on to item 10, correspondence. 10A from the town of Rainy River. Read the resolution regarding expanding water treatment training opportunities. We received that for information purposes. From the Township of Archipelago, read the resolution regarding cigarette producer responsibilities. That was received for information purposes. 10C from the town of Aurora, resolution regarding cannabis retail applications. That was received for information. Item D from Melanie Ducharme, the Executive Director for the Pavilion Women's Center. Read a proclamation request on November the 25th, 2023 regarding the 2023 Wrapped in Courage campaign.
No, I was just kidding. I'm just...
Yeah. We'll just take a couple of more minutes, guys, before we continue on.
Thank you very much. Let me talk.
Item 14 under new business. 10E from Elizabeth Moreland on behalf of the Temiskaming Active School Travel, the Steering Committee, Public Health Promoter and Active School Travel Facilitator for the Temiskaming Health Unit. And that's read Temiskaming's Walk and Roll Program recommendations. That's been referred to the Director of Recreation and the Manager of Transportation Services. Item F from Tricia Welts, the Director of Education, Northeastern Catholic District School Board. Read the 2023 to 2028 multi-year strategic plan that was received for information. Item G from the Municipality of Wawa. It's a resolution regarding the amendment to allow digital publications as an acceptable means of publication and notice requirements for provincial acts and regulations that was received for information. Item H from the Municipality of Wawa, read the resolution regarding support of Bill C-310 and amendments to Income Tax Act to increase tax credits for volunteer firefighters. That was received for information. Item I from Virginia Montamy, the Clerk for the Township of Evantrell. Read the resolution regarding preparation of bill regarding passing on double two solid yellow lines. That was received for information purposes. Item J from Michelle Dunn, the Clerk from Dufferin County. Read gender-based violence and intimate partner violence. That was received for information. Item K from the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board, DSAB, their quarterly report for Q3 from July the 1st to September 30th, 2023. That was received for information purposes. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to deal with communication item 10D in accordance with the agenda references. And just a reminder, the Councillor Ducharme has disclosed the conflict of interest related to the correspondence item, the 10D. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Peltier-Leving. Seconded by Councillor Graydon. Discussion? Councillor Whalen.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think G and H, items G and H might be worthy of bringing back for discussion.
Okay, we'll get that.
The one is with regards to electronic publications, and the other one's in regards to firefighter.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Whalen. We'll get to that on the next motion. This one here is just to approve the one where Councillor.
Sorry. My
apologies. Okay, and then we'll. Okay. Okay. All those in favor? Okay, that motion is carried. And then I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to deal with communication items 10A through C and items 10E through K in the accordance with the agenda of references. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Councillor Foley, Councillor Wilson. Discussion?
Yeah, I don't know how many times I have to say this. I'd appreciate bringing back items G and H for further discussion. I think they're both worthy of comment. Okay. And also the one from the Township of Evantrell.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Anyone else? Councillor Wilson, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. The Reedy River, I'm not certain if that applies, if that's worth supporting from our perspective with training for water treatment. So can we bring back and have some discussion around it? Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Councillor Foley?
Yeah, no, I was just going to bring light to the DSAB report, the quarterly report, and just if you look at our emergency medical services and community paramedicine, how many emergent and urgent calls they get over that 3-month period, you've got almost just over 1,000 calls. So, and we're just about to head into our wonderful Highway 11 winter driving season. So just a thanks to the paramedics, and I know they're short a little bit, but just that they're doing the best that they can out there.
Thanks, Councillor Foley. Any other comments? Councillor Peltier-Living.
I like item, I think it's E, the walk and roll from Elizabeth Moreland.
Okay. Any last comments? All in favor? And that motion is carried. I guess we can bring Councillor Ducharme.
Come on back. Were you listening?
This brings us to item 11, Committees of Council, Community and Regional. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the New Liskeard Business Improvement Area Board of Management meetings held on September the 27th, 2023 and on October the 16th, 2023. Minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board meetings held on June the 28th, 2023, September 20th, 2023, and on October the 25th, 2023. Minutes from the Temiskaming Shores Public Library meeting held on September the 27th, 2023. Minutes from the Temiskaming Transit meeting held on October the 19th, 2023. And minutes from the Temiskaming Health Unit Board of Health meetings held on September the 6th, 2023 and October the 11th, 2023. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Seconded by Councillor Graydon. Discussion? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, just quickly for our council members, I realize she's working for the BIA and you make comment on the greenhouse and the contract with her, but I think council should also comment on just how good of a job she did in the downtown this year with the size of the baskets and everything. Really did a good job and everybody was mentioning them, so thank you on behalf of council.
Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Councillor Palchaliman.
I have a question for the transit minutes. What's a sweeper route that was discussed with Northern College? Does anybody?
Mitch, did you want to comment on that?
So the sweeper route was proposed by Voigo to try and accommodate some of that time in the middle of the day that was non-peak. At this point in time, it's not feasible from a cost perspective and a maintenance transit vehicle perspective. Thank you.
Any other? Councillor Palchaliman.
There's a section in the Jarlette application. They had an environmental study, and they had something about the I think it's an endangered species, the bobolinks. And I don't know how this works, but we have those at the La Rock Fields at Mill Creek. And so I just don't know if we have, like, if that information can help us make sure that we are managing that field in accordance to those best practices. So it's just a comment about that section. Could be helpful in other areas.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we do have a motion in front of us. All in favor? That motion is carried. Brings us to item 12, reports by members of council. Does anybody have any reports? Councillor Whalen.
Just quickly for council's benefit, and I'm sure the mayor will echo my comment here. We had a police service board meeting a while back. We have a new detachment commander. We also have some new officers that really seem community-minded, so we look forward to working with them, and I think it's going to make a noticeable difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Any others? Councillor Ducharme.
I just wanted to thank all the volunteers who were out at the Night of Lights in Hillsbury on Friday night. And my daughter was happily serving hot chocolate there, but the lights were beautiful, the music was beautiful, the people who were playing, and so everybody who worked on that, I just wanted to say thank you, and really a great event.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Ducharme, and also thanks to the generosity of the Hillsbury businesses that, organize the event and financially contributed to making sure that it was a huge success. Councillor Deschamps.
Just as a follow-up, I think the children especially enjoyed the moving of the bell and to its new location during the event.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other comments? No. Takes us to item 13, notice of motions. Do we have any notice of motions for tonight? Thank you. Takes us to item 14, new business, and 14A, from the town of Midland, the resolution of support for the catch and release justice in Ontario. That was a correspondence from October the 17th, regular council meeting. I do have a resolution in front of me, whereas council for the town of Midland adopted a resolution regarding catch and release justice in the Ontario legal system at their regular meeting on September the 6th, 2023. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores supports the town of Midland's call on the federal and provincial governments to request for meaningful improvements to the current state of catch and release justice in the Ontario legal system, and that police services across Ontario are exhausting time and resources to manage the repeated arrests of the same offenders, which in turn is impacting their morale and ultimately law-abiding citizens who are paying the financial and emotional toll of this system. And further, that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Senate of Canada, the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, and the town of Midland. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Item B, the resolution of support for Bill 21, Fixing Long-Term Care Amendment Act, Till Death Do Us Part. Correspondence from the October 17th, 2023 regular council meeting. I do have a resolution in front of me, whereas Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores received correspondence from Catherine Fife, MPP from Waterloo, regarding a request for support Bill 21, Fixing Long-Term Care Amendment Act, Till Death Do Us Part, and whereas older adults deserve dignity and care and should have the right to live with their partner as they age, and whereas with the province of Ontario, couples do not have the right to be accommodated together when entering long-term care facilities. And whereas the separation of spouses upon entering long-term care facilities is a common occurrence across Ontario, and whereas Bill 21, Fixing Long-Term Care Amendment Act, was first introduced in the provincial legislature in 2019 and was reintroduced in 2022, and whereas Bill 21 amends the Residents' Bill of Rights set out in Section 3 of Fixing Long-Term Care Act 2021 by adding the right of residents not to be separated from their spouse upon admission and to have accommodation made available for both spouses so they may continue to live together. And whereas Bill 21 passed its second reading in the provincial legislature on November the 15th, 2022, and was subsequently referred to the Standing Committee on Social Policy and has since yet to be called to the Standing Committee. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores supports Bill 21, Fixing Long-Term Care Amendment Act, and requests that provincial legislature to call Bill 21, Fixing Long-Term Care Amendment Act to the Standing Committee on Social Policy so that it may progress closer to its third reading. And further, that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Stan Choi, Minister of Long-Term Care, and Catherine Fife, the MPP from Waterloo. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Pilche-Living. Seconded by Councillor Whalen. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item C, the proclamation for the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. I do have a resolution in front of me, whereas violence continues to be the greatest gender inequality rights issue for women, girls, and gendered diverse individuals, and whereas November is Women Abuse Prevention Month, and whereas November the 25th, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, And whereas femicide rates are on the rise in Ontario, with over 46 femicides in Ontario since November 26th, 2022. And whereas our community is committed to ending femicide and all forms of gender-based violence, and whereas Indigenous, Black, South Asian, and Southeast Asian women and girls continue to experience high rates of violence, including femicide, and were overrepresented within the Ontario Association of Interval and Transition Houses 2021-2022 from the annual femicide list. And whereas last year in Ontario, on average, every 7 days, a woman or child lost their life due to femicide. And whereas in 4 of the last 5 years, at least one woman from the district of Temiskaming was the victim of femicide. And whereas this month and throughout the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we acknowledge our community's support of the Wrapped in Courage campaign and commitment to ending gender-based violence. And whereas there is an urgent need for greater investment and action to end gender-based violence in our community and throughout Ontario. And whereas it is recognized that the courage of a woman alone is not enough. It takes an entire community to end gender-based violence. Therefore, be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby proclaims November the 25th, 2023 as the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and urge all citizens to recognize this day by acting to support survivors of gender-based violence. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks. Councillor Foley, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item D, Administrative Report number CS-042-2023, the zoning bylaw amendment, ZBA-2023-02 for Temiskaming Lodge on behalf of Pedersen Materials Limited, east of 144 Drive-In Theatre Road. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report CS-042-2023, that Council agrees to amend the provisions of the City of Temiskaming Shores zoning bylaw 2017-154 to permit the zone change from Development D to Community Facilities Exception 2, CF2, and to amend the provisions of the CF2 zone, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend the City of Temiskaming Shores zoning bylaw 2017-154 for consideration at the November 21st, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Graydon, seconded by Councillor Pelche-Leving. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item E, memo number 002-2023-PPP, the 2023 Community Emergency Preparedness Grant application. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 002-2023-PPP, and that Council directs staff to submit an application to the Community Emergency Preparedness Grant in the amount of $50,000 to apply for the purchase of portable radios and an enclosed trailer for the purpose of transporting equipment. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. This takes us to item 15, bylaws. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-114, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2022-016, to enter into an agreement with Automotive Materials Stewardship, Inc. for automotive materials collected as part of the Household Hazardous Waste Collection event. I have bylaw number 2023-115, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2023-037, to enter into an agreement with Grass King, Inc. for asphalt markings and symbol painting services, 1-year extension. Bylaw number 2023-116, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Ontario Northland Transportation Commission to provide an ONTC agency at the Waterfront Pool and Fitness Centre. Bylaw number 2023-117, being a bylaw to enter into a lease agreement with the Temiskaming Art Gallery for the use of the Lion's Den in the Shelley Herbert Shea Memorial Arena, December 1st, 2023 to November 30th, 2028. Bylaw number 2023-118, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with WF Group, Inc. for the Building Decarbonization Feasibility Study. Bylaw number 2023-119, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario as represented by the Minister of Indigenous Services and Minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario for the Northern Ontario Pavilion at the 2024 PDAC event in Toronto. Bylaw number 2023-120, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2017-154 to rezone property from the Development D zone to the Community Facilities Exemption to CF2 zone and to amend the provisions of the CF2 zone to allow for the future use of the property. Bylaw number 2023-121, being a bylaw of the Corporation of the City of Temiskaming Shores to authorize the borrowing upon serial debentures in the principal amount of $635,756.78 towards the cost of the 2021 roads program backhoe. Be hereby introduced and given first, second, and third and final reading, be signed by the Mayor and Clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Graydon, seconded by Councillor Whalen. Discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. I also have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-122, being a bylaw to regulate the care and control of animals and the registration of dogs and cats within the City of Temiskaming Shores. Can I get a mover, please? And be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? Amy, did you want to?
Yes, I'm happy to take any questions that you might have in regards to this bylaw, but I did want to make a couple notes. We have removed, if you haven't noticed, I think it was noted in the bylaw, the fees themselves. The fines remain in this bylaw, but we've decided to move the fees for the licensing to the fees and charges bylaw, so it will be easier to amend. So that's a note there. That bylaw will be coming forth soon. The other thing is there was an oversight in section 4.1.2 where we are required to add a provision for all other zones that have a permitted dwelling. So when we looked at the zoning, at first we thought that the rural and agricultural properties would be exempt, but it does speak about dwellings, and if we don't put it in there, it would mean that they would not be permitted in those zones. So we will be making an addition before the final reading just to make sure that we've captured that. But other than that, I'm happy to take any other questions at this time, but those were the only comments I would highlight.
Anybody have any questions? No? All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 16, schedule of council meetings. We have a special committee of the whole meeting scheduled for November the 28th, 2023, starting at 3 p.m. Item B, committee of the whole meeting scheduled for December the 5th, 2023, starting at 3 p.m. And C, we have a regular council meeting scheduled for December the 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Takes us to the question and answer period. Do we have any questions? Seeing none. Takes us to item 18. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved the council agrees to convene in closed session at 7:53 to to discuss the following matters. A, under Section 239(2K) of the Municipal Act 2001, position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction in negotiations for animal control. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Pelcher-Living, seconded by Councillor Whalen. Discussion? All in favor? And we're in closed session. We'll take about a 10-minute break before we